is trickling in, but I want to make sure that we can get out here of your own time as well. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you coming to talk about your students' progress in math and to be willing to set goals with us and work together as a team. I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to be using to go through. It might be similar to some of the PowerPoints you've already seen as well. So first slide is about our Honeydew Title I program. So Title I means we receive federal funds to provide extra support for all the students in our school. The amount of money we get depends on the number of students who receive free or reduced lunch. And you can help by filling out a form if you think that you might qualify. The advantages are it's used to pay for additional staff, books, supplies, programs, and extra materials. You can help also by participating in school activities, volunteer opportunities, just asking questions from us, communicating with teachers and principals as well. And yeah, we just want you to know that we really value our partnership with you as families and as parents, and that we're working together towards the same goal of helping your students progress. So the agenda for this evening is we're going to do our icebreaker in just a moment. We're going to introduce the foundational skill that we're working on, look at whole class data, individual student data, and activities and materials that you are going to be able to take home with you today to practice. So once again, I'm Ms. Knopp, and Mr. C and Mr. Bryant are the other two 5th grade teachers in the other room over there. So we're going to start with our icebreaker. So if there are stickers on your table. And I know that we're kind of spread out in here, so once you write your sticker, you can just stand up and introduce yourself to someone at another table. But write your name on your sticker in blue if your 5th grade student is a boy, and write your name on your sticker in green if your 5th grade student is a girl. So you'll write your name on the name tag, but in green or blue, depending on your child. And then you can introduce yourself to your table and share one thing your student enjoys.
Write down by twins.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself to one another. That's one of the purposes of these evenings, as well as just to get to know other parents of students in our class. So I want to go over our objectives for tonight. The first is you're going to be able to review your students' progress, then write a 60-day goal for your students' growth, and apply the APTT model to engage with families in supporting student academic growth. So APTT is Academic Parent-Teacher Teams, and that is a model that we are starting this year, and I will talk to you about the schedule and what that will look like. But it's us coming together to look at a specific skill and make goals around that skill. Family surveys have indicated that our families want to know more about how they can support students at home, so that's what we're really trying to provide with these meetings together. So the meeting times for this APTT model is that we meet as a team tonight, and then our next meeting would be individual conferences. And so that's our normal conference time in November when we have individual meetings together, where we can check in on the goal that we make tonight and then make a new goal for students. Then we would also meet as a team, like this meeting now in March, on March 15th. And then there's also a possible meeting in the spring if there's still interest from parents for having that meeting in the spring as well. So these are the responsibilities for parents, and as a parent it says I will attend the meetings and help my child practice and improve at home. So the purpose of these meetings is for us to be able to focus on that skill and find ways for you to help your student practice that at home. So we'll be giving you things to take home to work with. So now the foundational skill that we're focusing on in 5th grade. You may have seen in the newsletter things that we have sent home that we are focusing on numerical fluency, and that's our multiplication and division facts from 1 through 12. So when thinking about numerical fluency, oftentimes people think of like really fast and really accurate, like knowing your multiplication facts quickly and being able to do those kind of just off of memory. So I know that when I was in elementary school, we had timed multiplication and division tests, and we were supposed to know those facts super quickly. What we realized is that that time factor isn't beneficial for students, and it can cause them just to want to memorize their facts. What we really want students to do is to have a strategy that they use to solve multiplication or division problems that makes sense to them so that they understand what's going on in a multiplication or division problem. So we might see some students, and when we took this assessment, I saw students like counting out groups. So if it was like 5 times 3, they would do 5 groups of 3 and draw that out on a whiteboard. I also saw students who were telling me that they were skip counting in their head for multiplication. And then I had students using like nearby facts. So like 6 times 12, I know that 6 times 10 is 60, so I need 2 more groups, so my answer is going to be 72. Also, there were some students who just knew their facts as well. So what we really want to be working towards with students is not putting a stress on the speed, but making sure that they know a strategy to solve those problems. And then once we see the strategy that we know, we'll be able to kind of move them up that ladder of efficiency. Because we don't want these facts to be holding them back when we learn more rigorous concepts later on in the year. So we want them to be able to know their facts and know them fluently and efficiently, but we don't want to put that emphasis on speed to cause them just to memorize those facts. Does that kind of make sense? So what we've been doing, so this test, it took some students, it was 40 questions, it was a mixture of multiplication and division facts from 1 through 12. It took some students up to an hour to complete. It took other students maybe around like 20 minutes, so there was quite a range. So of all the things a 5th grader learns, why is this important and why is it fundamental to their success in math this year? So tons of things that we're learning this year are building off of these multiplication and division skills. We're going to be learning multiplication and division of multi-digit numbers, multiplication and division of fractions, as well as multiplication and division of decimals as well. In the 5th grade level standard for this, we look to Common Core standards for that. And so I'll just read over these quickly. But for multiplication, it's being able to fluently multiply multi-digit whole numbers using the standard algorithm, and then find whole number quotients of whole numbers with up to 4 digits, dividends, and 2-digit divisors. So it's big concepts that they're working on, and knowing these fundamental skills and facts for multiplication is really going to help them later on as we learn these other rigorous skills. So in just a moment, you'll be able to look at your own individual student data. And this is the grade level data. So the test had 40 questions, and this is how each student scored. You can see that there's quite a range across the 5th grade. I'll go through to our specific class data. So this line is the grade level average, and then we have the range of students in our class. As you can see, there's quite a range. And so this is why we're really focusing on this skill to make sure all students are successful throughout this year. Now you can open up your notebooks, and in there on the left-hand side is a sheet of individual data for your student. It's a sheet of the class data, and then in your folder on the top left, the top right corner, right behind those papers, on the top right is your student number. And that's going to tell you where to look on the graph. So when you open up your folder, there'll be a number just on this top right corner. That's your student number, and you can see where your student falls on this list. Hi there. Okay, yeah. And so we want to introduce a game that you can be playing with students at home to help them in this area of numerical fluency with multiplication and division. So you have these supplies for the game in your packet, and this game is called Multiplication Scramble, and it really hits on understanding multiplication facts through 1 through 12. And what it's really going to help students with is to have flexibility in their thinking as they work on this game as well. So let me introduce the game. If you want to open up your folders, you can take out Multiplication Scramble, and yours is in a protector sheet. And what you need to play this game is a marker that we will be sending home with you today so you can write on it and erase it, and then also a deck of cards. So I'm going to pass those out really quick. So you may have noticed that your students have come home with homework planners. And in that planner, one of the activities is a math game at least 3 times a week. I've sent home 2 games already, so this is the 3rd game for them to play, and we'll continue to send out games throughout this year as well. So I'm going to show you how to play this game, and then you'll be able to play it with someone else at your table so you can practice this game. If you could go ahead and put the sheet in the sheet protector if you haven't already. I've also sent home one other game in a sheet protector as well. Sometimes I'll send home games that aren't in a sheet protector, but you can use the sheet protector and just switch out those games. So the the game is called Multiplication Scramble, and it's played with cards. The card values are just the value of the cards, except for ace is 1, jack is 10, queen is 11, king is 12, and jokers are wild. So the directions for the game are here. Each player draws 2 cards to use as factors. So I'm going to draw 2 cards for player 1 and 2 cards for player 2. Then you would multiply the numbers and then fill in the section that would fit for that number. So 2 times 4 is 8. That's in the range of 0 to 8. I'd put 8 right there. Then my partner would go 5 times 5, 25. That's going to go in the range of 20 to 29. So you keep going back and forth with your partner, with your student, until you fill out, until player 1 fills out, oh sorry, I should put this on player 2's side. Until player 1 fills out their side or player 2 fills out their side first. Let's say that I then draw 2 times 3. So that equals 6, and I can no longer put it in this section because it's already filled with an equation that I had before. One thing I forgot to mention too is it's going to be helpful to have the equation as well. So since 2 times 3 is 6, and I cannot fill this spot anymore, I would then lose, not be able to play that turn, and the partner would go and play theirs. So 1 times 3 is 3. Questions that you can be asking your students while you play this game. If they are unable to fill a section, like I was when I got 2 times 3, you could ask them like what other factor or digit would you need in order to fill another space that you have. And so you can be having that discussion with them and help them think flexibly about what numbers they would need. So you'll continue to play this until player 1 or player 2 has filled out their side. And then, the first player to fill in their side is the winner. You can just wipe it off and play again. If you run out of cards, you can just reshuffle the cards as well and keep going. Are there questions about how to play this game? Want to write on those? I know sometimes multiplication facts aren't right off the top of our head, or we want some help in knowing just strategies for those facts as well. So in your folder, there is a multiplication chart as well, and I wanted to go over how to use that. So, if I have 5 times 5, I would find 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and find what that number equals in the middle, 25. So the multiplication chart can be used as well if needed, and that can also go in your student projector as well. So we want to give you guys a chance to practice this game so that you're feeling comfortable to play this game at home. So what I would love right now is if you could partner up with somebody at our table, or find someone at another table who would play this game like a little bit, and just go back and forth, make sure your page is in your sheet protector, and you can use that pen that I handed out to play this game. Are there any questions before we start? And you can keep those too. So the markers are for you too. So now we're going to move into the goal setting section of our night. And so you have in your packet a blue paper that looks like this for you to make a goal for your student. So this is a 60-day goal for your student that we'll check in with at the conferences. And so here's an example of what a goal might look like. The subject is math. Today's date is the 28th. You're going to tell us what your child can solve as of today. So today my child can solve, maybe they could solve 20 multiplication and division problems. You could also say out of 40. In 60 days, I want my child to solve blank multiplication and division problems out of 40. So setting that goal for your student for when we take this assessment again and for that check-in at conferences. A goal that you might have as well, I'll come around and talk with you about your individual student too, but it could be for your student to be able to maybe reach like 40 out of 40 with an efficient strategy. So maybe not having to use paper and pencil so that they can really efficiently know their those facts. So then to reach this goal, one way that you can help your child meet this goal is to play multiple occasion scramble, come in any times a week that you would like. And so that can be an activity that you're doing with your student to reach this goal. I will be coming around to help write goals, because I know that there's a wide range in our class. So there's some students that are at the higher end, and so I want to talk about kind of what we're moving students towards as well. So I'll be coming around as you write your goals. When you're done writing your goals, you can keep playing the game if you would like as well, and then we'll talk about when we're going to be meeting next.
Thank you.
So just really quickly at the end here, I wanted to talk about conferences. That'll be through November 16th through 22nd. So conferences will be really similar to conferences that we've had in the past. We'll talk about the progress that your student has made, look at the report card together, but we'll also be checking in on this goal. So what I'm going to be doing with the goals is collecting them from you. If you can write your student name at the top, and then I'll be sending home a copy with your student as well. So November 16th through 22nd, you'll get paperwork from me about scheduling time for conferences, but that's when we'll be looking at that goal together. If you have any questions for me before we end, I'll be walking around and helping us finish out those goals. But thank you so much for joining us today, and the folder is yours to take home. The materials for the games are for you to take home as well.